Good morning. What's going on, guys? I am live and I am ready to talk about consistency. Anybody joining today? 9 o'clock on this beautiful Wednesday morning. Totally messed up this morning, missed an appointment with a guy I wanted to talk to about productivity and Lean Six Sigma stuff. That was freaking awesome. Had it scheduled for next week, so had a little bit of a failure there. So yeah, I was feeling good about that. Not really. No, not at all. So does anybody want to talk about consistency? You know, because it was just a little bit of a goal, if you want to call it that, in 2016. My goal is to be more consistent because there's all this little stuff that I felt like I needed to do, and I wasn't finding time to do it. You know, it was like one of those things like, I got to do this, or I'd really, really like to do a Periscope every day, for example, at 9 o'clock, or a weekly blab, or I want to make sure that I have certain blocks of time for meeting with clients or something like that. So, you know, there's a freedom in developing a ritual and habits that work. You might think you're boxing yourself in and, you know, limiting what you can do in your creativity and everything like that. But at the end of the day, if you can figure out a way to create a good ritual that works, it's free. There's a lot of freedom in there. So there's a couple things that I've been doing this year in 2016 that I did not do in 2015 that have really, really helped. And one was just personal development. Like I love reading, but I just found at the end of the day, there wasn't enough time to get reading and learn and grow and be able to just add more value and content and learn and share the things that I learned with you guys. So I said, man, I'm just going to keep this thing simple. I'm going to block out 15 minutes every single morning to start reading. And that's what I've been doing. So there's Nisatch. Man, I haven't seen Nisatch on for a long time. Thanks for joining. So yeah, every morning now I have a ritual where I wake up and I pray and I meditate. And then after I get done with that at 5:25, literally 5:25, I break out a book for 15 minutes and I start reading and developing. And then I actually take it a step further. And whatever I'm learning in that book, I take it and I actually write notes for 5 minutes. I'm like, okay, I read for 15, I'm write notes for 5. So that's kind of my process. And so I have this whole, 2 weeks into the new year, I have 2 weeks worth of notes that I've read from a book. And a lot of that stuff I've been sharing with all you guys. So I'm going to continue to develop and grow. And it's just that consistent ritual that's been very, very helpful. The other thing is just ongoing tasks that seem to be, you know, eating away. Other things of working out. You know, how can I actually just dedicate and commit to a certain time each day to work out? And I was trying to do it like at, I don't know, randomly, you know, whenever I got done with my morning stuff. And then I finally said, okay, I'm just going to commit to shutting it down at 6:45, getting out there, getting changed, and doing it at the house. So I broke out the old school P90X. Nisatch is definitely aware of our time with Tony Horton and the Beachbody crew. But Christine, if Christine's on, I'm not sure if she is. I'm going to meet with Christine actually later today and do some coaching. But yeah, she's a Beachbody coach. But yeah, I went back to the P90X. I'm like, you know, I'm just going to do it at home. It's as good as going to the Clubhouse Fitness Gym or whatever. So just being consistent about that and not beat myself up about not doing it like my way. So I'm used to working out for an hour. Well, you know, the way that things are going nowadays, I was like, I only really have 35, 40 minutes tops. So I set a timer, I go out there and I hang out with Tony Horton for 35 minutes and I shut it down. So what if the workout's not done? Yeah, flexibility is totally key. It's so true. And I think the former me, you know, and it's that, you know, better than anybody. Like I get set in my ways. If I can't do it my way, I don't want to do it at all. And I think that for 2016, I'm like, you know, let me just do the minimum amount of things the minimum amount of work. What's really reasonable? What can I know? Like knock it out of the park. So I know I can read for 15 minutes and develop personally. I know I can work out for 35 minutes and not make it a big issue. And what's up? What I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Thanks for joining. So yeah, just what can you do? Just if you want to be consistent about something, make it easy. Don't say, okay, I'm going to work out for 90 minutes every day. Hey, and but to do something that's reasonable. For me, 35 minutes was totally reasonable. I'm like, okay, I can commit to that. I can do 35 minutes. I got this. And we won't talk about cold showers again, but when I am done working out, I have committed to doing a actual cold shower to get my body temperature down, and we won't get into that discussion one more time. But the other thing about that I'm really struggling with, and I'd love to hear your feedback with, is just this concept of theming. So I'm a fan of Mike Vardy and the Productivityist, productivityist.com. He's got a great podcast. And I listen to him talk about theming, how he just themes his days. And for me, it's a little bit more challenging because, I mean, I have two built-in themes where Mondays and Fridays are total dedicated to integral energy. They're a client, my retainer client. They build natural gas fuel stations all over the Southeast. So I support them on the project management consulting front. So Monday and Fridays are built-in integral days, except for the morning stuff that I do to handle the blog and the podcast and stuff. So that's cool. But then that leaves me 20, 25 hours per week to do everything else. So getting on a consistent schedule where like I'm coaching at the same time, and then doing the podcast recording at a certain time and doing the show notes, all that kind of stuff, like getting that consistent has been a challenge for me. I love the idea of maybe just blocking out a whole day to do coaching, but that's not really convenient for the clients, and then I love the idea of maybe recording 5 episodes on a given day and banging all those out, but that's not convenient either. So I'd love to hear how you guys maybe theme your days when you're really, really limited with time. If that is something that you do, by theming, I mean, like, okay, there's a lot of guys that take Fridays and they just do it. It's like a buffer day. They do it to kind of get on top of their processes and their systems. And I love that idea. But for me, I found it's just hard to block out like a whole day or even a half a day. So for me, I'm like, well, I can dedicate 10 minutes, maybe a day or a week to look at my systems and processes. But it's been kind of hard. So yeah, this is something I want to kind of ask you guys, some tips or tricks or hacks that to be a little bit more consistent with your theming and just your routines every day. Does anybody have any feedback on that? Before we get into committing to the one important thing we're going to do each day to drive our businesses or careers forward, because that's what this thing's all about, right? I call this use your calendar. Yeah. Back to the calendar discussion, the calendar versus the list discussion. We're going to hash that out via podcast, and we're going to do that really soon, Saj. If anybody doesn't know, my podcast is the Make It Snappy Show, Make It Snappy Productivity Show. Excuse me, it's on makeitsnappyshow.com. You have theme days. You really do on your calendar. Is it consistently you have theme days? So like Mondays you do a certain type of work, and then the next day you don't. Because I was talking to Laura McClellan. She is the podcast. She has a podcast called The Productive Woman, who I actually do listen to The Productive Woman, and I'm probably one of the very few males that do it, but whatever. And because I like her stuff. And we were she was talking about theming when you're in the corporate world. Like it's how hard is it to theme when you don't have the flexibility to kind of run your day. So Fridays are reporting days. Well, that's cool. Okay, so reporting, just writing reports and summarizing your days and stuff like that. Yeah, well, the other thing, yes, okay, cool. Yeah, well, for theming, for me, I got to hash that out. I'm doing more theming hours of the day, like just certain times during the day. I think there's a lot of power in just figuring out what tasks take the most energy and what don't. So first thing in the morning, I actually have a lot more energy than I think than a lot of people might think they have, or for me, I do at least. So I get the writing done, and that thought, like my head's pretty clear, and I can write, and then it's done. I don't have to really worry about it. But then there's stuff like checking email and social media and stuff that's a little bit tougher, or it takes less energy. Tuesdays are Facebook Tip Tuesday. Oh, Facebook Tip Tuesday. Oh, you're doing that for the USF College of Pharmacy. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's we need to talk about this. We'll hash this out in the podcast episode as well in the sets. What can we do to theme better, and you can give me some advice on that. The last thing, just for the one productive thing I'm going to do, I think there's a lot of value in just kind of moving. I don't want to move away from theming. Please continue to give your comments for theming. But for me, the one productive thing I'm going to do today to move my business forward from the PYM, Productive Yours and Mine standpoint is, there's a lot of there's the craft and then there's the talent. It's hard with the full-time job. Yeah, we'll talk to Miss Satch. I mean, she's the one commenting. She'll totally maybe it'll help you with that, because she's like, when I look at my wife, Miss Satch is my wife, by the way. When I look at the things that she does on a daily basis at her work, she is able to figure out how to set up systems and processes, just like I used to do when I worked for the corporate America too. But everybody's corporate job is different. But I'm actually finding it harder to theme as an entrepreneur than I did back when I was working for corporate America. Because like for corporate America, I knew I was gonna leave, so I don't know if it's just like the care factor where I didn't care if they didn't agree with how I did things. I did them anyway. So the big thing for me with theming is I had 7 people. Just to give you a little bit of insight, switch gears on corporate America. I had 7 people under me working in my department, and every Friday I'd block out basically the first 4 hours of the day to meet with them one-on-one for an hour each. So I did, I think I did 3 on Fridays, and then I had 1 on Wednesday because I had 7. So that's kind of how that one worked out. That was like Friday mornings were my theme for just being able to give those people the time they needed. And it also helped minimize the interruptions that I had every day. So if you have people under you, that's one thing you might be able to test out. Just give them that dedicated time. The other thing, that I would say, just the thing I want to commit today is there's power between, I was starting to get into the craft and the talent. I heard this from John Acuff recently, and I'm a podcast host, and I'm going to be doing 2 recording sessions today, actually. One with a guy over in Norway named Tor Refsland. Super excited about that one. He's a really productive guy, timemanagementchef.com. He's going to be on my show, and just prepping for that. And if I didn't prep for that and I didn't do my homework, then the interview is going to be garbage, And the same thing with Christine. She joins us on Periscope every now and then, just prepping for that, checking out her site, looking at the intake form. I'm going to be coaching Christine and just kind of going through that process of preparation. So I think the most important thing I could do is prep thoroughly, within reason for the guests. So I'm dedicating half an hour for each, and moving forward that way. So that's the most important thing I can do. What are you guys going to knock out of the park today? We're going to commit to doing publicly here on Periscope for the masses to consume. What are you guys going to commit to doing today to move your careers or businesses forward? See what I'm saying? Are you the author? I can't remember. Are you the author? File review. File review. Are you getting caught up on file reviews, or is this just a theming day that you're doing with the file reviews? Okay, cool. Are you going to do some writing today? See what I'm saying? All files must be done before vacation. Yeah, we're taking vacation on Thursday, and so does the podcast recording. I'm going to have that 100% done, so I don't have to log in and upload everything to SoundCloud here while we're visiting Rich in DC. No theme because I'm going out of the office. Gotcha. So you just want to be caught up and not have to scramble when you get back. See what I'm saying? You gonna do some writing today? Maybe this weekend. I was actually coaching a client who wants to be an author as well. I won't call her out, but one thing that she committed to doing, we were kind of talking through it, is like, being an author or writer or whatever. I said, can you just commit to doing 15 minutes a day? Kind of like me in personal development. Like if you can get on, and I asked her what time, she goes, well, 7 o'clock would be a really good time for me to do that. I said, okay, 7 to 7:15. Can you commit to doing that? And if things change, it's fine, But if you put in your calendar, you're like, okay, from 7 to 7:15, I'm going to do writing. I'm going to get this book done. All these ideas that I have in my head, I've been talking about writing a book for years. I'm going to do it. And I touched base with her last week, I believe, or maybe it was early this week. And she goes, yeah, I'm super excited. No, it was last week. It was Friday. She goes, I'm super excited. Actually had been writing. I think she said she had like 35 pages done. So it doesn't have to be a huge block of time. I think there's like for me, I'm blogging, right? So writing it's a strain sometimes, but just is that like little chunks at a time, it can really add up over time. If you look at just, doing a 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day of writing, that's like equivalent to 2 full work weeks a year, right? Yeah. Totally. Like 50 minutes a day is 2 full work weeks. So, and I note this because I was just watching a video of a guy who said he could save 30 minutes a day, and it was like 4 full work weeks. So I didn't just do the math in my head. I'm not that smart. But the other thing I'll say before I shut down, it's been really good. Thank you guys for tuning in and commenting and stuff, is that tonight we're going to be blabbing. Nastash and I are going to be on the Blab at 9 p.m. So see what I'm saying? Check out blab.im. and look for Make It Snappy or the Productivity Killers Blab. It's super easy. If you have a Twitter account, which you do, obviously you're on Periscope, just come on for like 5 minutes. Love to have you on the Blab, and we can talk real quick. Tonight we're going to talk about saying no. So what does it take to say no? Because saying no is just as important as actually getting things done. It's like every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So what can you do to say no to the right things and yes to the right things? That didn't come out like I thought it would. And the other thing is I had a blog post come out last night, so check it out on makeitsnappyshow.com/blog. It was all about applying project management principles to personal productivity, so that might be interesting for you. And 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we try to go on for an hour. Nasach will get really mad at me if I go for more than an hour, so I'm really trying to cut it out after an hour. But yeah, just come on for like 5 minutes and just say hi. That'd be really, really cool. Blab.im. And tomorrow Friday morning at midnight, it's kind of like tomorrow night, early Friday morning, I'm having Neil Galarte from Wild Style Media. I coach Neil on air, and it's an awesome, awesome interview. So check that out on the Make It Snappy Show podcast. So you can only be online for 30 minutes. Cool, 30 minutes is great. I was only asking for 5, so you're just going above and beyond there. All right, then. Well, everybody, thanks so much for Periscoping with me this morning. I hope you guys have a really, really productive day. And we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Thanks. Bye.